Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack a fascinating and honestly incredibly relatable concept, the architecture of the financial trap. To really get this, I want you to meet someone. Let's just call him David. David's your totally average 40-year-old office worker. Picture him for a second. White shirt, black tie, slightly tired expression, permanently holding that essential cup of coffee. Architecture of the financial trap. To really get this, I want you to meet someone. Let's just call him David. Tried his best to save, but here's the stark reality. After 20 years of following the rules perfectly and just exhausting himself day in and day out, he's still broke. He's completely financially trapped.
So it brings up a huge question. Why do hardworking people stay broke? It's kind of a paradox, right? We're always taught that hard work equals financial success, period. Yet we see someone like David, who follows the blueprint flawlessly, ending up totally stuck. Well, today we're going to figure out exactly how someone can perfectly execute the traditional plan and still end up caught in a systemic financial trap. We're going to break down the psychology, the daily habits, and the hidden mechanics of this trap, mapping out exactly how the whole shebang works.
Part 1. The endless daily loop. Let's track David's daily grind, because it's a routine millions of people know all too well. The alarm goes off at 6 a.m. By 8 a.m., he's stressing out in bumper-to-bumper traffic. At 10 a.m., he's chained to his desk answering an endless avalanche of emails. 6 p.m. rolls around, he comes home totally exhausted. And by 8 p.m., he's sitting at the kitchen table paying bills. Then the calendar flips, and he does the exact same thing tomorrow. And I want to make something super clear here. David isn't lazy. No way. He probably works harder than most people. But despite all that effort, every single day is an exact carbon copy of the last. It's like he's running as fast as he can just to stay in the exact same place.
And here's where the math really starts to hurt. Every single year, the world around David got more expensive. Rent went up, food prices increased, gas skyrocketed. But notice the real kicker here. His freedom never increased. While the cost of just surviving kept climbing, the actual return on his hard work flatlined. He was giving more and more of his energy just to maintain his basic baseline.
Which leads to a pretty dangerous realization. When David finally stops and looks at the dark, rushing city around him, it hits him. Most people are not building wealth. They are literally just surviving. It's a really sobering thought, you know? Working hard, by itself, doesn't create wealth. A lot of times, it just barely covers the rising cost of staying alive.
Which brings us to part 2, the big lie.
Step 1. Go to school. Step 2. Get a stable job. Step 3. Earn a promotion. Since we were kids, most of us were handed this exact same playbook. We're totally conditioned to believe this staircase leads straight to financial freedom. But the thing nobody teaches us is how money actually works. Think about it. Schools teach us how to become employees, not owners. They train us to follow instructions, not to build systems. So while you feel like you're climbing those steps, you're actually on a treadmill that's constantly pulling you backward.
The core mechanical flaw in this whole traditional path is an illusion. The illusion is that trading your time for money is a sustainable way to get rich. But the reality? Time is strictly limited. Millions of people spend their entire lives trading a finite resource, their hours, their days, their youth, for a paycheck. David suddenly saw the mathematical trap. If he ever gets sick, or honestly if he just wants to stop working for a bit, the money completely stops too. You just can't scale your income when it's literally tied to the hours you are physically awake.
Now, let's look at part 3, the psychology trap.
So the challenge isn't just bad math. Modern society actively attacks your ability to keep what you earn. I like to call this the endless consumer squeeze. Everywhere David looks, someone is trying to sell him something. The system is meticulously designed to keep us consuming. You absolutely need the newer phone, right? The faster luxury car, more credit cards to finance it all, shopping apps that make buying instantaneous, and just an endless stream of subscriptions and upgrades. The dollars are basically flying out of his wallet before he even realizes he earned them.
And that leads us to the psychology trap itself. It is a system that rewards spending to look rich. Society claps for you when you get the new car or the designer clothes. But the reality behind closed doors, people are secretly drowning in debt. The system rewards the appearance of wealth, not actual wealth building. It totally preys on our desire for status, keeping us locked in this relentless cycle of borrowing and spending just to keep up appearances.
But here's the good news. Part 4, the wealth building shift. This is where things finally change for David.
Brain for Money. Subscribe for more money psychology and business stories.
The exact question that changed everything for him comes down to two totally different mindsets. The employee mindset asks, how can I make more money? And you know what? That question just leads to working more hours, grabbing a second job, or begging for a promotion. But the owner mindset asks something completely different. How can money work for me? That was the total paradigm shift. David stopped trying to trade his limited time and started figuring out how to build systems that generate value entirely on their own.
To do that, David had to build himself a new curriculum. Instead of just zoning out after his exhausting 9-to-5, he opened his laptop. He started reading. He dove into investing. He studied how real businesses operate. He learned the crucial difference between liabilities, stuff that takes money out of your pocket, and assets, stuff that puts money into your pocket. And maybe most importantly, he studied financial psychology to armor himself against that endless consumer squeeze we just talked about.
And the tangible results of that mindset shift? It completely transformed his life. Now, he didn't just recklessly quit his job. Instead, his salary now makes up only 40% of his income. He built small side hustles that evolved into actual business assets, making up 35%. And his investments, money-making money, now account for the remaining 25%. He completely diversified his income. He broke away from relying solely on that exhausting daily grind. And that brings us to part 5, the final lesson.
Imagine an older, much calmer David walking peacefully at sunrise. All around him, younger, stressed-out workers are still rushing through traffic in that endless daily loop. What does he know that they don't? Well, he knows the pillars of true wealth. Wealth isn't built just through stress and grinding. It takes knowledge to understand the rules of the game, patience to let compound interest work its magic, ownership because you absolutely have to own assets to escape the time for money trap, and discipline to resist the constant societal pressure to spend every dime you make.
It all boils down to this really powerful truth. Money is a tool. It's a wrench, it's a hammer, it's a lever, and if you never learn how to use it, you're going to spend your entire life chasing it. The people who actually escape the cycle think fundamentally differently. They don't worship money, and they don't fear it either. They just learn how to operate it. There's a really sobering quote that sums this all up. Most people will stay trapped forever, not because they are stupid, but because nobody taught them a different way. The financial trap works so well because it weaponizes our good intentions, our desire to be responsible, to play by the rules, to provide for our families. It takes all of that and puts us on a treadmill that simply doesn't have an off switch. So I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. Are you going to think differently and build wealth, or stay trapped in the loop? Because now you see the architecture of the trap. You see the illusion of trading time for money and the immense psychological pressure to endlessly consume. The path out is right there, but it requires a conscious, disciplined shift toward ownership and assets. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the systems around you, keep shifting your mindset, and keep learning the psychology of true wealth. Until next time.